welcome to the 5th Wednesday of October. Normally I don't do anything in the group on the 5th Wednesday. I only have planned, scheduled things for the first through the 4th Wednesday each month. But I thought since it's Halloween tomorrow, it's Samhain, it's Dia de los Muertos, that I would do a little tarot spread for you all. I have a Samhain tarot spread that I Googled with some questions that I'm going to ask, but this will just be for the community as a whole. If something resonates with you or something sticks out to you or you have a different interpretation from me with the cards, you're more than welcome to, lean into that. I'm not saying that my interpretation of the cards is the right way, but this is something that I enjoy doing, and I just thought I would share that with you all. I've got my skull. I need to name him. Her, they, them. I have my little spooky witch haunted house candle. I've got some of my candelabras here. I've got my water, and I want to remind you all to keep hydrating and drinking water even as we move into the colder months. It's still important even though it's not hot. So I'm going to go ahead and light the only candle that I could find that still has some wax in it. I need to get some new candles. So I'm going to light that candle. And I'm going to get grounded and centered, and you're welcome to do the same. I'm going to guide you through a couple of deep breaths. So breathing in through the nose if you're able, and out through the mouth. In through the nose, and out through the mouth, and one more full breath. So this is the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot deck. This is a new deck that I just purchased. I'm loving it. This is like one of my favorite movies that I rewatch all the time is Nightmare Before Christmas. And so I think it's appropriate on the week of Halloween and for a Samhain spread to use the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot deck. So I'm going to just shuffle these cards to begin. And the first question that we're going to ask is, what is being revealed this week as the veil between the seen and the unseen and the known and the unknown is thinning? So what is being revealed? And sometimes a card jumps out, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm looking for one card, and I will take the next card on top. And that is the 10 of Potions. So potions in this deck represent cups in a traditional tarot deck, and cups are representative or symbols for emotions and for feelings and for relationships with other people and how we feel about other people. And the 10 of Potions here, you'll see there's like a pumpkin with like some fog or smoke coming out of its jack-o'-lantern mouth, and then we have 10 potions kind of floating in the air above the jack-o'-lantern. And so the question was, what is being revealed this week as the veil thins? And 10 in the minor arcana is always like a cycle has just ended and we're starting back at the beginning of a new cycle. And 10 is 1 and 0, and when you add 1 and 0 together, you just get 1 again. So 10 is kind of like the wheel has spun all the way around, and we are back at square one, even though 10 represents the end of a cycle. And since potions represent cups and our emotions and our feelings, the 10 of Potions is about pretty much ending a long emotional journey, or a journey through some emotions that maybe you really didn't want to deal with, but you had no other choice. We've all kind of heard the expression that there's no way around it, over it, or under it. When we're dealing with something difficult, we have to go through it. If it's something that we can't avoid or we can't choose not to do, we do need to go through it. And so maybe you have just gone through something pretty emotional, pretty big, and the things that you learned on that journey about yourself, about how emotions come up, about the ways that you emotionally respond to different situations, you have all this information now because you've just completed a pretty big cycle, a pretty emotional cycle. And through completing it, we're starting back at square one. We are coming back around to the beginning of something, but you're not starting over empty in your cups, in your emotions. You are starting over, but you have all the information that you just learned, maybe about yourself, maybe about the way that you feel when you're in relationship to another person. You have all that emotional information. You have more emotional intelligence and maturity than when you started, and that is saying something. That's not nothing, and you should not be discounting the fact that you have learned a lot about yourself, that you are more capable than you thought you were at the beginning of that cycle. And now we have more information, we have more maturity, more intelligence about how we feel about things. So the next time we come up against something, even if it does end up being challenging, you're going to have more depth of knowledge on how to take care of yourself through that, how to allow yourself to feel what comes up. And the next card is the question, what remains hidden? So the first question was, what is being revealed? But there's still something that is remaining hidden, even though we've asked for what's being revealed. We've maybe asked for something to be revealed to us, but there's still going to be something that is still hidden behind the veil. We are not getting complete access. The veil isn't disappearing, it's thinning. So if you think about looking through like a lace curtain, perhaps, you might be able to see shapes or objects, but you won't be able to make them out as clearly and as in 4K as if the veil was removed completely. So when the veil thins, we are able to get a glimpse of something, and something is revealed to us, but there is part that still remains hidden. And so if nothing jumps out, I'll take the top card from this shuffle. And it is the Four of Needles, and I did pull it in reverse, so I'll keep that position. So what is remaining hidden? The Four of Needles, needles in this deck represent swords in the traditional tarot symbols. And swords are all about our thoughts and how we speak, our words. Writing, speaking, thinking, that is what swords represent. And so in this deck, needles are all about sewing together pieces of information. They are all about crafting a narrative or putting together a story. And so the four is a foundational number. If you think about, you need four corners to build a building, or if there are four corners, typically in a room, 4 is a foundational number. But since I pulled this card in reverse, this might be saying that you actually don't have a lot of, or you're feeling very shaky in terms of your foundation for the way you think, the way you talk, for the narrative that you have about yourself. Maybe it's a narrative that you've been building up, but it actually doesn't serve you. And so the question for this card was, what remains hidden? And maybe there's a piece of the narrative that you're actually missing. If we look on this card, we can see there are 3 needles in parallel to each other, and then we have one needle that's kind of cutting across on a diagonal. And so since this card is in reverse, I think we need to think about the fact that you have been trying to maybe put your thoughts together. You've been trying to use your words and to express yourself. And there's still something that's just not clicking. There's something that is being left out of the conversation. And since the question was what remains hidden, I think that is just representing that there is still a piece of the narrative, or maybe there is something about the way you're thinking or speaking about yourself, about a problem that you're having. There's something that's just not quite there yet, and that is what is remaining hidden. Even though we've had what's being revealed is that we have come to the end of a journey, of an emotional journey. We have all of this emotional intelligence and maturity about ourselves, but there's still something remaining hidden. Like, we might have gathered a lot of information about ourselves and our emotions on the journey, and so a lot has been revealed to us. We've got 10 of potions. That is a lot. That's quite a plethora or an arsenal of emotional intelligence or maturity, but there's still something that's remaining hidden, and it is in the way that you're thinking or speaking about yourself or a situation. So when it comes to self-talk, like internal self-talk, the way that you hear in your head how you talk about yourself, there's something that maybe needs addressing. There's something that you're not ready to maybe look at, or maybe you're not ready to acknowledge this fourth thing. And once you do, you'll have a complete 4 foundation of swords. So there's still something that is, hidden from you, even though you've gathered quite a bit of emotional information. And so the next card, or the next question, and the next card will be, what needs to change? What still needs to change? Because we've gone on this emotional journey, we've completed that emotional journey, we have a lot of information, but still something's missing. So what actually needs to change in this situation? I'll go ahead and pull the top card. And that is the Page of Needles. So again, needles are the swords of this deck. Again, we're dealing with thoughts and words and the written narrative, the thinking narrative. And the page in the Minor Arcana is representative of someone who's very juvenile and maybe like an apprentice. And we see on this card that there's a couple of members from Halloween Town. One's holding a mask. The other one's, they're just all like spooky. There's a witch with green skin and a black pointed hat and dress. And then there's like this chain with probably some sort of animal trap with like teeth at the bottom of the chain. And they're all sitting together in kind of a gray container. And so the Page of Needles is telling us that maybe what needs to change is that the way you're speaking about yourself, the thing that you're missing whenever you are creating a narrative, you're telling a story, you are thinking about yourself, maybe what's missing and what needs to change is that there is still something that you're feeling juvenile about or immature about. If we have come to the end of an emotional journey and what's been revealed is that we have a lot of emotional intelligence and information about how we feel and respond to our emotions that come up, maybe something that still needs to change in order for you to complete that 4 foundation number is that there is something that you still feel immature about. There's something that, like, every time that situation happens, maybe you receive an email from that person, maybe you get a text message from somebody, something about whenever words are coming up, there is still what you perceive as an immature emotional reaction, and you're still in the apprentice phase, or maybe you need to move into the apprentice phase, because this card is about what needs to change. And so since the page is kind of like the support person or the apprentice that's like doing all the busy work all of the time in order to become the master of a trade, maybe it is like, we need to kind of quit playing around and get to work. And my cat is like running through the house right now, so maybe you need to quit playing around. But the Page of Needles is telling us what needs to change. Maybe you need to take the chain off of whatever is still remaining hidden from the 4 of Needles. Because we have kind of a chain and then like a bear animal trap here. Maybe what needs to change is that you let whatever it is out of that trap. Maybe you take off your mask and you stop the people pleasing. I mean, there's a lot that could come up here, and just like a lot is presenting itself. So if there is something that comes up for you with this card, I'd love to know what you think down in the comments. So that is what needs to change. Maybe you are acting too juvenile and you need to really take things seriously, or maybe you need to like quit playing around, but maybe it is the case that you do need to become the apprentice instead of the observer or the patron. And so the last card that I'm going to pull, I would like to ask for a message from the ancestors, from the guides, from spirit, whatever. Okie dokie. So, and that's how it happens sometimes. The message from ancestors, guides, or spirit is the Ace of Needles. So we've had a lot of needles coming up in this spread. The Ace of Needles shows a hand that kind of has some stitching on the wrist, holding a single needle, and there's like a curly thread, but like nothing is being stitched just yet. And the ace is the one of a minor arcana suit, and it is like the first step. It is saying that we're starting at square one. We have a single needle here. We haven't begun our project, but we are ready. We've threaded our needle. We're holding it in position and we're ready to go. And so since needles are representative of thoughts and words and a narrative here, you've just come to the end of the potions suit and the journey. There's something that is still remaining hidden. Maybe it needs to be taken more seriously, or maybe it needs to be cut away or released from its shackles. And the message is that you just have to start. Like, Ace is the starting point, and so you're there now. You need to take the first step. We need to start the first stitch. So if you are feeling like you've just gone through something pretty big and emotional and intense, but there's still some information that is being withheld from you that needs to be revealed or changed, the message is to just take the first step. Like, just start. Set up the sewing machine. This is probably a message for me. I just need to freaking set up my sewing machine and finish a quilt that I'm making for my niece. And we need to make the first stitch, put the fabric into the machine, like get started on your new narrative. So the ace is also an opportunity to begin a new narrative. If you have a narrative, or you have a way of speaking about a situation, or you have a way of thinking about yourself or talking about yourself internally, now is the time to where we get to begin crafting a new narrative. We get to begin a different way of describing a situation or a problem that maybe was pretty upsetting to us, in the past, because potions are our emotions. And if that was emotionally taxing, we kind of get to rewrite our own stories. You always get to write a different story. You always get to change perspective. Something that I know people who are going through recovery from like drugs or alcohol have a saying that like you can start your day over at any moment. You don't have to wait until tomorrow morning to start any new thing. Your ability to start a new story, to craft a new narrative, to speak to yourself differently, to speak about a situation differently, the time is now. You get to start that right now. You don't need to wait for a sign. This is the message. So let me know what you think about that spread. I'll take a picture of this spread and post it probably in the comments of this video so that you can look at the cards more closely. I'm not going to read from the book because I like to interpret the cards based on what I see and what comes up. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have questions, let me know in the comments. But I hope everyone has a happy Halloween. Stay safe and I will see you next week for our Shit You Should Know lesson for November. I don't have a topic picked out yet, so if you got something you want to learn about, now's the time to let me know.